Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Monday, February 13th, 2023, and today I am covering paranormal news. As always, you can find all of the shows, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, at the podcast page, and that is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to talk to you all or hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And so, anyone that has been following the subject of UFOs or UAP for a while knows or will recognize what we're going to be talking about here tonight. Just because it's everywhere in the news, just about. And so I'll get right to it. I'm just have two articles here. I'm going to just briefly talk about, and then we can sort of get to the larger conversation surrounding this. So, the first one here, and I've included these in the text channel in the chat, and of course I will include them in the episode description. The first one here is from Reuters.com, and this is, let me see here. The title of this one is U.S. Military Brings Down Flying Object Over Lake Huron. And so this was basically earlier today, or yesterday, depending on where you're at. And this was an octagon-shaped object over Lake Huron. It's the latest in a series of objects that have been spotted. Excuse me, and then in some cases actually shot down from the sky. It says it was in the article here. It was the fourth flying object to be shot down over North America by a U.S. missile in a little over more than a week, it says here. So it goes into details as regarding how they decide whether or not to shoot things down. But they also report here that with the three most recent objects, they don't really know what they are, and they don't know how they're able to stay in the air and where they're coming from. So it goes on here, says that this General Van Herk, head of North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, and Northern Command said that we're calling them objects, not balloons, for a reason. So, yeah, just it goes into a little more detail here about all these objects and basically how they're shot down. And of course, this article mentions that there are questions now about this string of unusual objects that have appeared over North America in the recent weeks, and of course, in this case, just the last few days. So there's more to the article there. You can check out the rest of it, and gets into more details regarding the briefings, and then how certain airspaces were closed surrounding these objects. So definitely check that out for more details, and go from there. So that was the first article I found. The second is also related to this topic. This is from Politico.com, and the title says, I can scroll up to it. playbook. UFO fever grips Washington. And of course, they mean DC. So, and this is just talking about these objects that are, again, have been spotted and in some cases shot down. So, it has this timeline of events going over the weekend, which is pretty useful in a way. It says that on Friday, the president of the U.S. ordered a balloon with a car-sized payload to be destroyed after it violated U.S. airspace over Alaska. So it goes into details about that sighting. It was flying at just 40,000 feet, roughly the altitude of civilian airliners, and was destroyed by an F-22 over a frozen part of the Arctic Ocean near Alaska. And it says the Pentagon noted that the UFO does not resemble in any way the Chinese surveillance balloon shot down off the coast of South Carolina earlier this week. And it says, but they don't know what it is, or at least they're not saying. So later that same day or night, another object was detected over Alaska, and two fighter jets began tracking it. On Saturday, the object drifted into Canadian airspace, and the basically at that point, the U.S. aircraft were joined by craft from Canada. So, and eventually the object was taken out. So, when it goes into this whole timeline of all these sightings of all these objects, and there's a lot of details here, a lot of technical stuff that I'm not really don't know a lot about. But this is just a very odd string of events here. So I'll leave the rest of this article for you all to check out on your own. And it does mention here that there was what happened apparently, and from what I've been able to kind of figure out, is the U.S. their surveillance equipment, their detection equipment was altered and basically changed so that and that's how they're explaining the sudden increase of objects that they're detecting and going after. So again, that's technical stuff I don't know a lot about, but it's just odd because it just makes me wonder, does that mean there have been objects like this flying all over the place before and we're only now just seeing them? Or are they only now just being reported? A lot of questions here that all this raises. Yeah, I don't know really what to make of it all. I don't think if there's any kind of craft that are not made by humans, I don't think they're going to tell us. I don't. But and then of course the other factor there, when it comes to anomalous objects, there's if any of them do get shot down, that could be bad not only for the objects, especially in the cases of, and I've been talking to a lot of friends, so some of this is going to come from conversations with all of you. So those of you out there who some of this may sound familiar, thank you for helping with this show, even though at the time I didn't know that was going to be the case. There may be some of these may not even be ships in the sense of craft that are just housing other beings. They may be, especially in some cases where you have these objects in the sky that are almost like jellyfish, or that are just seem to be floating fields of energy fields. And and then of course there's always the possibility of actual craft that contain actual other beings that could also be harmed by this just increased sort of openness to shoot down whatever is out there. Not even counting any kind of civilian objects that are out there for scientific research. Not even counting any of that. But yeah, so this is just a very odd situation. I don't really like how it's going. Um, just because if we end up, well, not we, but I mean, if anything that is not made by humans ends up being shot down, and there are more of it or them, then we could have a huge problem that could spark a major problem there. Um, so yeah, it's just really I think everyone should be careful and consider all the possibilities. And of course, there was one statement that I saw where officials were saying we don't know what they are. We're not saying we're not ruling anything out just yet. But then there are other statements from other officials saying, "Oh, these are all just balloons." So again, you get these mixed messages, and again, I don't think um, even if any of this stuff is determined to be not made by humans, they won't tell us. I'd really doubt they would tell us. Um, so, and then it's just so you have this whole management of the situation, and probably being managed by multiple offices and branches of the military and government, and just seems like a huge mess in a way. And of course, you always have to wonder about agendas as to just the government being aware of people who think all these other creatures or aliens or whatever you want to call them are out there, and how they're going to use that and manipulate uh, people through those perceptions, um, regardless of whether or not they find anything. So definitely something we'll have to keep watching, as I know a lot of us will, and see where it goes. Um, and this is just a brief show on this topic. I normally don't even cover breaking news like this, but I think it's important in this case because of the possible troubles this could cause in the future. So that's basically all I had for today. Just a quick summary of sort of what's going on. And thank you all for being here and for listening and for for staying with me, because I'm kind of sort of nervous covering something that's like this current, that is actually breaking, that is potentially this important. So, but yes, thank you all for being here, and I will talk to you all tomorrow when I come back with more true paranormal stories from the web on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.